Stephanie says, I'm baptized but not confirmed. I'm in mortal sin and my parents won't let me leave the house. Any suggestions? What do you say, Eric?
Well, obviously, it depends on the age of the person. If you're
She
an
looks like
adult,
a teenager in her picture.
okay. If you're a teenager and you physically can't get out, the first thing I would say is you would definitely urge your parents as much as you can
Mm-hmm.
to get to confession. Just say, I need to go to confession. I mean, for any parent, that should be enough to say, okay, we're going.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand your situation, Stephanie's situation. I honestly think that she should do everything she can to get confession. Urge her parents
Yeah.
to get there. I would say though that probably now falls into that true emergency situation where you need to do all you can to make a perfect act of contrition, because you physically cannot get to confession
Mm-hmm.
through no fault of your own. If I'm assuming you've made every effort with your parents, and if you just can't get, and I'm assuming you can't drive either, you can't grab a car and go. And so, because of that, I would think, okay, here's the controversial statement. If she can drive, I'm a big believer that you obey your parents. But I feel like that might be a situation where if she's truly in mortal sin, she gets in the car and she goes. And because you obey your parents in all things except
Right.
when it's something immoral. And
Yeah.
frankly, if you're in mortal sin and you have to go to, and they're telling you can't go to confession,
Mm-hmm.
that's an unjust,
Yeah.
immoral command. And so if the person's able to drive, you honestly just find a time when your parents aren't looking, you grab the keys and you go.
Yeah.
And
I
yes, you
agree.
will, and then you accept the punishment if they give you
Yep.
punishment and offer it up. If they say you're not allowed to drive, that you're grounded, even if this happens for the next year, okay, you accept that. That's a nice
Mm-hmm.
penance then. But I'm assuming, let's say she can't drive, and so there's literally no way she doesn't have a sibling who can take her, or anything like that. Then I think at that point you look up perfect act of contrition, and you tell the Lord, I want to go to confession with all my heart, and I will at the first moment I can.
Yeah. And I'm
And
sorry for love of thee.
yeah, and because I love you so much, I am very sorry. And I do believe in that situation, there's a God's mercy. He knows that
Mm-hmm.
you've done everything you can, and
Yeah.
so I think you should be happy with God's mercy and know that what loving father, truly loving, but wouldn't in that situation forgive if all these things are true.
Exactly. And in favor, Stephanie, of sneaking out, we have the great Saint Thomas Aquinas. His family locked him up because they didn't want him to be a Dominican, which isn't even as urgent as having
Right.
mortal sin and needing to go to confession. And he snuck out and ran off and went and joined the Dominicans. So if he did that just over joining a religious order as a young man, I think you sneaking out and going to confession would be awesome. So I would go for it, especially if you have a car. And then I see people saying, "Oh, we can't get to." There are no confessions. Listen, if you need to get to confession, you need to contact a traditional priest because I know there's others as well, but my experience in this crisis, talking to people who are just like Stephanie, like I need to go to confession. Generally, the ones who will meet you in a parking lot, random at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Now, I went and actually had my confession heard by a non-traditional priest who was awesome. He met us in our whole family in a parking lot at 3 o'clock. Guy's never said a Latin mass his whole day, but he was awesome. Loved him. Great priest. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Father. Call them. And I have found if you call the SSPX and they're near you, they will get you. They are under a directive right now to get to a confession to anyone who needs it. That is the goal right now of the SSPX. Their superior said you must get to confessions to everyone who cannot get confessions. Pope Francis has given faculties to hear confessions and give absolution directly to every priest of the SSPX. So don't listen to anyone who says you can't go to confession in the SSPX. Pope Francis said you can. You can. If you need a confession, the only order that I know that's under direct directive, you must go hear all confessions, is the SSPX. So Stephanie, if you're close to them, just Google. They will get you in. They will get you in. They will put no excuse up.
I had
So
no idea about that directive. That is
yeah,
just so
they
awesome,
have a directive.
because they know there's a need right now.
That's the thing. They said right now our calling in the world people can't get confessions, and that is the main goal of all of our priests right now is to get confessions for people who can't get confessions.
Man, I'm like choking up right now.
I
That is
know.
just awesome. I
I
mean,
know.
that is something else.
So
God bless
I
them.
think if you call around your pastor, or even if you called a traditional community and they can't get to you, or for whatever reason, if you can get an SSPX priest through email or a text or a phone, he's going to get you in. He's under obedience to do that.
And if there's not one available, again, you're just going to have
Perfect
better
act.
luck if you call up a traditional parish
Yeah.
and try to find a traditional priest. And like like Taylor said, there are non-traditional priests who are also doing all they can to hear confessions, and God bless them.
Yeah.
It just your chances are going to be higher in a traditional one. If there's no traditional one that you can find around you, most places have some type of traditional parish nearby. Then just try to figure out you kind of know the parishes, and just call them and say, I need to have my confession heard.
Yep.
It's an emergency situation, because it really is. What can we do? So.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay.